to my kitchen. My name is Rabbi Finn and you are here for another Vayikra variety. And this week is an absolutely amazing one because we are heading towards Shavuot. There's only a few weeks left. So I'm going to start sharing with you some of my favourite cheesecake recipes. And this is definitely the most popular cheesecake I have ever made. It is a Twix cheesecake. Yes, you heard me correctly. I've made a cheesecake which is inspired by that wonderful chocolate bar known as the Twix. What we're going to have is a biscuit base, followed by cheesecake, followed by caramel, followed by chocolate. It comes together in an amazing, 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 amazing treat. In fact, it's so great that pre-corona, I would often have lots of young professionals round for a cheesecake kiddish on second day Shavuot, and after 30, I had to start making multiples of this very cheesecake because it was the most popular one. But here's the secret. It is so easy to make. I've filled the recipe full of hacks, full of tricks, full of making life easiness stuff. So anybody can make it. It is so easy, so simple. So let me show you what we're doing. And then as I'm doing it, I'll explain how it actually does relate to this week's Parsha. And this week is Parshat Emor. You want to get a bowl. In the bowl, you want to put 360 grams of soft cheese. I'm using the Shevington soft cheese because that's the one that is widely available here. 360 grams. Importantly, leave the cheese out for a couple of hours before you are going to use it because this will make it much easier to do. Interestingly, as cheesecakes go, this one's not going to have any eggs in the cheesecake mix. And the only egg that might be in there is if there's any egg in the base, but I don't think there is any egg in the shop bought base, but I'm using later. So 360 grams of cheese. And at this point, I just want to give it a really good mix to soften it up. Into it, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of milk, just to give just to soften it up a bit more and give it a mix to incorporate the milk. Now, as I said, cheesecake is actually related to this week's portion. Why? Because Emor contains an element that is actually read on lots of different festivals, lots of different Chagim, and where we have a recap of all of the Chagim in the Jewish calendar. So we have Rosh Hashanah makes an appearance, I think, off the top of my head. Pesach makes an appearance, Sukkot makes an appearance, Shavuot makes an appearance. And what is really interesting is what these are called. Well, I'm going to keep you in suspense for that because I'm just going to give this a mix. Into my cheesecake mix, you want to add in a tablespoon of corn flour. Trust me, this genuinely works. We want quite a solid cheese base because it's going to have to hold a lot of other ingredients. So a tablespoon of corn flour and half a cup of white caster sugar. Ideally caster. If you don't have caster, use granulated. So that is it. That's all that's going to go into the cheese base of it. So we have 360 grams of soft cheese, a couple of tablespoons of milk, a tablespoon of corn flour, and half a cup of caster sugar. So as I was saying, the Chagim are introduced in a really interesting way. Eile Moadei Hashem. These are to use the normal translations, the appointed times of Hashem. But the word Moed doesn't just mean appointed time, it has another connotation within Judaism. Because think about it, what is the name of the Mishkan, the tabernacle? It's also called the Ohel Moed, the tent of greeting. And if we're calling the tent of Moed greeting Moed, then Moed also can mean moments of greeting, moments of meeting. And I think that's a beautiful idea about the Chagim. But the Chagim are not just appointed times, they're not just appointed festivals, but they are the moments where we get to meet with God. And we should really embrace these moments that we have in the Jewish calendar, not just to eat cheesecake, not just to eat yummy food, but actually to meet God, to have a moment with God, have a heightened spiritual experience. So, finished making the cheese mix, and that's how easy it is. Give it just a really good mix. You want to make sure the corn flour is mixed in fully. And here is hack number one. I'm not going to make my own biscuit base. I'm going to buy a ready-made pie crust. This is the perfect size for this Twix cheesecake, and it holds it perfectly well. And often, again, at this time of year, the kosher shops often put these on special offer. So get a pie crust with some biscuit base already in. Put it onto a tray because, trust me, from experience, it's much easier to put a tray into the oven than it is one of these. And simply put your cheese mixture into the pie base. it's not going to fill all the way to the top, and you don't want it to necessarily fill all the way to the top, making sure it's super smooth, because you need to allow room for the caramel layer. So pour it all in. Told you, world's easiest cheesecake, which is so simple but absolutely tasty and amazing. Pour it all in, get every last bit of cheese into it, and just spread it out over the base. And you want an even layer of cheese all the way round the biscuit base. If you find it difficult to spread, dip your spoon in a little bit of milk. Is a tip I once heard. I've never tried it, but let me know if it works for you. Now, this is going to go into an oven at 170 degrees Celsius fan for 20 minutes. Once you've cooked it for 20 minutes, let it cool completely down before you do the next step. And I will see you for that next step, well, once my cheese is cooked and cooled down. So my cheesecake has been in the oven, it's completely cooled down. Let me just show you it. It's, as you might be able to see, it's slightly brown around the edges and it's completely set on top. It is now ready to add the caramel layer. Now, you might expect me to be about to demonstrate how to make a caramel to go on top, but you know what? You don't need to, because actually, buy this Carnation Caramel. It's all done ready for you. You don't need to worry about bringing perfect consistency for this dish. So let me show you what you need to do. If you pour this straight onto your cheesecake, it's not going to work. So open it up. You want the whole tin and just pour it into a bowl. And by pouring it into a bowl, it will allow you to mix it, which breaks it up ever so slightly, but will make it easier for you to pour on. So literally a bowl big enough, just give it a bit of a mix. Whilst I'm mixing it, let me just tell you another really cool idea for this week's portion. As we said, the festivals are these mo'eds, these moments of meeting with God. And many of us look forward to festivals and we prepare for them and we get excited about them. But the very first mo'ed that is mentioned is actually not a festival, it is Shabbat. Shabbat is also referred to as a Mo'edei Hashem, a time to meet God. And perhaps I wonder if we should show Shabbat the same excitement, the same anticipation as we do for festivals. Because actually Shabbat is a really, really important day in our calendar, in our weekly calendar. It gives us that moment to commune with God, and we really should embrace the Shabbat. So give this a mix. Basically, you want to mix it so that it's not lumpy. When you do this, you'll know what I mean by lumpy. There's no physical lumps in there, but it clumps together whilst it's in the tin. So you just need to loosen it up. Give it a really good mix. And now it is at a wonderful pouring consistency. And you're going to pour all of this on to your cheesecake base. And again, once it's done, you're going to put it in the fridge this time to set, because if you put the chocolate on it at this stage, it's just going to go, it's not going to work out well. It's going to go quite runny. So get all of your caramel in, push it to the edges of the pie case, put it in the fridge, I would say for about half an hour, maybe even less. Smooth it out because any imperfections is going to show the chocolate. And then join me as we make the final chocolatey layer. Okay, so it's the next morning and we're now ready to finish off the cheesecake. We've got the biscuit layer, we've got the cheese layer, we've got the caramel layer. The only thing missing is the chocolate layer, and that is super simple to make. In a bowl, which is microwavable, put 70 grams of dark chocolate and 40 grams of milk chocolate. Add in just over a third of a cup of double cream and then put it in the microwave for about a minute, and hopefully it will be ready to stir. And as you stir it, the chocolate is going to melt into the cream. And this is your chocolate ganache layer, which is going to go on top of the cheesecake. If you find that the chocolate is not melting, give it another 10 seconds in the microwave and then continue at 10-second intervals. You do not want to go any longer than that before checking, otherwise you might burn your chocolate. Looking at this, I think this is probably just about hot enough. Give it a good, mix, because it does take a moment for the chocolate to melt, using the heat of the bowl as well as the heat of the cream. And that is perfect. It should be quite a thick, glossy consistency. Let me just show you. That is what you're after. It's thick, it's glossy, it's chocolatey, it's yummy. And once you've mixed that and you're sure there's no unmelted chocolate in there, simply grab your cheesecake and pour it on. But I don't want to pour it all on. If I were you, I would start by just kind of start in the middle and then work round, because it's not the easiest thing to spread, especially on top of the caramel layer. It's going to be quite a thin layer. You don't want it to be too thick. It's such an easy dish to make. Yes, there's a few elements to it, but really in terms of cooking, anybody could make it because most of the ingredients are done for you. It really is a cheesecake, but it's so tasty and so amazing and looks really impressive when it's set and when it's cut. And then just smooth the top off so it looks nice, and pop it back into the fridge to cool. That is how easy it is. This can be frozen and then just defrost it in the fridge. Enjoy it. This is my Twix cheesecake. A biscuit layer, a cheese layer, a caramel layer, a chocolate layer. Make it for Shavuot. Trust me, you are going to love this. Have a great week. Shabbat Shalom.